Chapter 6. Into the Abyss. The battlefield was a cacophony of chaos, the ground still trembling from the aftershocks of the explosion that had temporarily halted the enemy's advance. Taylor, breathing heavily, stood amid the smoke and debris, scanning the area for his allies. Alien warriors, their faces set with grim determination, regrouped around him. They had only moments to assess the situation before the enemy resumed their relentless assault. Suddenly, a sharp, desperate signal pierced through the static of their communication network. A distress call from a group of their own. Taylor's heart pounded as he listened to the broken transmission. A small squad of their allies had been captured in the initial onslaught and was now trapped behind enemy lines. The voice on the other end was barely audible, crackling with fear and fatigue.
"We're surrounded. Need immediate assist. Coordinates are..."
And then silence. Taylor knew they couldn't afford to lose any more comrades. His mind raced, calculating their options. "We can't leave them," he said firmly, looking at the faces of his weary but resolute team. The urgency of the situation left no room for doubt. "We're going in," he declared. "Get the coordinates. We move fast and stay low. This is a rescue mission. Get in, get our people, and get out." His words galvanized the group. There was no time to second guess or to fear. The urgency of their mission ignited a spark of determination among the ranks, a resolve to save their captured allies at any cost. Taylor's leadership and strategic mind were put to the test as he quickly devised a plan. Dividing the team into 2 units, one to create a diversion and draw the enemy's attention, the other to penetrate the heart of the enemy territory and extract their comrades. Moving with a stealth that belied their numbers, the rescue team slipped into the shadows of the alien landscape. The enemy's stronghold loomed ahead, a dark silhouette amongst the blood-red sky. It had appeared from nowhere. The path before them was fraught with peril, each step a potential trigger for the hidden traps that had been laid before them. The ground was jagged and uneven, strewn with the remnants of past conflicts and the destruction that this unseen enemy had brought. Taylor led the way, his senses heightened to the environment's every nuance. The air was thick with tension, and the oppressive silence was occasionally broken by distant, indistinguishable sounds. An unsettling reminder that they were deep in enemy territory. They moved through narrow ravines and under natural rock formations, their figures blending into the alien landscape, each movement deliberate and cautious. The deeper they ventured, the more terrain seemed to conspire against them. A sudden burst of movement from a nearby cluster of vegetation sent a shiver of anticipation through the group. But it was only a small creature, startled by their presence. They pressed on, undeterred, driven by the urgency of their mission and the hope that their allies were still alive. As they approached the stronghold, the air grew colder and the sense of foreboding intensified. Taylor could see the strain on his team's faces, the fear lurking in their eyes, yet they pushed forward, navigating the labyrinth structure with a mix of skill and intuition. Every corridor they crossed, every chamber they entered, seemed to echo with the footsteps of unseen foes. A psychological assault as much as a physical one. "Keep moving," Taylor whispered, his voice barely audible. They had no choice but to trust in their training and each other. The stakes were too high to falter now. They moved through the shadowed halls, guided by the faint, flickering signals from the distress beacon, their determination unwavering despite the danger. Deeper into the stronghold, the team stumbled upon a room unlike any they had encountered before. A vast chamber filled with glowing panels and intricate machines. Taylor's breath caught in his throat. This was no ordinary room. It was a command center, brimming with technology far beyond anything he had ever seen. The air hummed with a low electric pulse, a tangible reminder of the power that lay at the enemy's fingertips. Taylor and his team moved cautiously, their eyes scanning every detail. On the walls, holographic displays projected maps of the planet, overlaid with symbols and coordinates. As they studied the projections, a chilling realization dawned on Taylor. The enemy wasn't just interested in domination. They were searching for something. Something hidden deep within the planet's core. The same thing he and his allies sought. The hidden power that could change the fate of the world. "They're after the same thing we are," Taylor whispered, a cold dread settling over him. This revelation shifted the entire paradigm of their mission. The enemy's actions were not just a bid for conquest, but a race to control the very essence of the planet's secrets. They were far more organized and knowledgeable about the ancient power than Taylor had anticipated. "We need to find out how much they know," Taylor said, his mind racing with possibilities. As they continued to gather intelligence, Taylor's team discovered something even more disturbing. In a dimly lit alcove, they came upon strange, otherworldly creatures, beings that seemed to defy all logic and reason. These creatures, with their grotesque amalgamation of organic and mechanical parts, were moved in perfect synchronization, as if controlled by a single consciousness. Taylor watched with a mix of horror and fascination. The creatures moved with an eerie grace, their limbs twisting and bending in ways that defied natural anatomy. Their eyes, cold and unblinking, seemed to glow with a faint, unnatural light. They were not mere soldiers. They were living weapons, engineered to serve the enemy's purpose. "What are they?" one of his allies whispered, eyes wide with fear. "I don't know," Taylor replied, his voice tight with unease. "But whatever they are, they're part of the enemy's plan." The presence of these creatures added a new layer of danger to their mission. It was no longer just about rescuing their comrades. They now faced an enemy that could manipulate life itself. Taylor could feel the weight of this new knowledge pressing down on him. The stakes were higher than ever, and the path ahead was fraught with uncertainty. Determined to uncover the full extent of the enemy's plans, Taylor led his team deeper into the stronghold. The air grew colder, the light dimmer, as they descended into the lower levels. The walls seemed to close in around them, the corridors narrowing into tight, oppressive spaces. Taylor could feel the tension mounting with each step, a palpable sense of dread that gnawed at the edges of his consciousness. Every corner they turned, every doorway they passed, seemed to hold a new threat. The air was thick with the smell of decay, and the faint sound of distant machinery echoed through the halls. The ancient traps they had to navigate were sophisticated, designed to confound even the most seasoned explorers. But Taylor's team pressed on, driven by the need to understand the enemy and what they were truly after. At last, they reached a vast, cavernous chamber, its walls lined with strange devices and containment units. Taylor's heart sank as he realized what he was looking at. A laboratory where horrific experiments had conducted. Inside the containment units, the twisted forms of alien creatures, some familiar and others utterly foreign, floated in a sickly green fluid. The sight was both horrifying and heartbreaking, a testament to the lengths the enemy was willing to go to achieve their goals. Taylor moved deeper into the chamber, his steps slow and measured. As he approached a central console, he felt a chill run down his spine. The console was covered in symbols and data that he could barely comprehend. But one thing was clear: the enemy was experimenting with both time and biology, manipulating the very fabric of existence. Taylor's mind raced as he tried to process the implications of what he was seeing. The enemy's willingness to manipulate time and life itself showed a disregard for natural order and a dangerous level of ambition. This was not just a war for survival. It was a battle against an enemy willing to rewrite the rules of reality itself. "We have to get this information back to the others," Taylor said, his voice tight with urgency. "They need to know what we're up against." With the secrets uncovered of the enemy, Taylor and his team knew they had no time to lose. They activated a series of commands on the console, setting the laboratory's systems into disarray. Alarms blared, and the dimly lit corridors were suddenly bathed in a harsh, red light. "Move!" Taylor shouted, leading his team out of the chamber as the sound of enemy footsteps echoed in the distance. They sprinted through the maze-like passageways, their hearts pounding in their chests. The stronghold was a labyrinth of twists and turns, each corridor more confusing than the last. But Taylor's instincts and the faint glow of their escape route kept them moving forward. Behind them, the sound of pursuit grew louder, an unrelenting reminder that the enemy was close on their heels. The chase took them through a dark, treacherous landscape. The corridors were narrow and winding, the walls closing in on them with each turn. The air was thick with dust, and the faint glow of emergency lights cast eerie shadows on the walls. Taylor could hear the sounds of the enemy closing in, their footsteps echoing through the halls like a relentless drumbeat. "We need to split up," Taylor said, making a quick decision. "It's our only chance to confuse them." The team split into smaller groups, each taking a different path through the labyrinth. Taylor led his group down a narrow corridor, his mind racing with possibilities. He knew they were running out of time, that the enemy was closing in, but he also knew they couldn't give up. Not now. As Taylor's group turned a corner, they stumbled upon a small, dimly lit room. Inside, they found a control panel with a series of unfamiliar symbols. Taylor's eyes widened as he realized what they had discovered. A control room for the enemy's defenses. He quickly scanned the panel, searching for a weakness, a flaw they could exploit. "There," he said, pointing to a series of symbols on the panel. "That's their shield generator. If we disable it, we might have a chance." Working quickly, Taylor input a series of commands, his fingers moving swiftly over the panel. The room trembled as the generator powered down, and Taylor felt a surge of hope. They had found the enemy's weakness, a vulnerability they could exploit to turn the tide of battle. With the shield generator disabled, Taylor knew they only had moments to escape. He and his team sprinted through the corridors, their hearts pounding with a mix of fear and exhilaration. Behind them, the sound of enemy footsteps grew louder. A relentless reminder that their time was running out. Just as it seemed they were cornered, a flash of light erupted from behind them. Taylor turned to see one of his allies using a piece of the enemy's own technology against them, creating a temporary barrier that held the enemy at bay. "Go!" the ally shouted. "I'll hold them off." Taylor nodded, a mix of gratitude and determination in his eyes. They sprinted towards the exit, their path clear. As they emerged from the stronghold, the enemy's forces regrouping behind them, Taylor knew they had achieved a crucial victory. But the battle was far from over. Finally, back at their base, battered but victorious, Taylor and his team shared their newfound knowledge with their allies. The enemy's weakness had been revealed, and with it, a new plan began to take shape. A plan that could change the course of the war. Taylor stood, looking out over the horizon, the wheels of strategy turning in his mind. The fight was far from over, but they had taken a crucial step forward. The next battle would be theirs to win.